welcome back to Reading with Mr. White, with me, Mr. White. I hope you were here last time because chapter 17 was pretty dramatic, let me tell you. If you haven't watched chapter 17 yet, you need to go back and watch it. It was called Ghosts. It was at Ellie's party and Vindictus Sharp managed to sneak in. Mr. Silva and Vindictus Sharp saw each other across the ballroom and then they met in the middle, chests touching. Oh, it was tense. Something happened though. Vindictus Sharp whispered something into Mr. Silva's ear. Mr. Silva nodded slowly. This is a slow nod. Very slow nod. Looked quite sad, shook hands, and then they kind of went. But when they shook hands, sparks started to fly and glasses started to smash. It was pretty dramatic, let me tell you. Don't know what happened, but hopefully we're going to find out a bit more about Sharp and Silva in chapter 18, which is called A Parting of Ways. Edinburgh, May 1890. So we've gone back in time again. It's a flashback, I think. Raindrops the size of marbles pelted the fine oak coffin as it was lowered into the soil on an unseasonably cold Edinburgh spring day. News of Birdie's passing had taken flight, crossing oceans and continents, and many of the entertainers with whom she had worked over the years had come to pay their respects, shivering together beneath a canopy of black umbrellas. Lucy and Silva stood near the mouth of the grave and listened as the minister delivered Birdie's eulogy. Vindictus Sharp stood at Lucian's side, tall and dark and silent as a shadow. Neither acknowledged the presence of the other. When the funeral was over, mourners began to filter away towards the shelter of waiting carriages. Lucian stayed by the graveside while Sharp shook hands and exchanged brief words with a number of guests. When the last of the mourners was gone, he walked back up the hill. They stood in silence for a time. Sharp turned his head, though not enough to make eye contact. Your services are no longer required, he said, flexing the fingers of a gloved hand. This experiment has run its course. Teaching is not for me. I imagine this does not come as a shock to you. Lucian said nothing. You will be sent your portion of last night's takings, of course. I don't want it, Lucian said. Last night's performance was for Birdie. Sharp gave a single nod. Very well. He turned and began the walk back down the hill. Lucian gazed after him. I can't help that I'm better than you, he said. I only ever did what you asked, and I was good at my job. You turned it into a competition, not me. He had uttered the words in barely more than a whisper, but in the silence of a graveyard, even soft-spoken words can become immensely powerful things. Sharp stopped. He did not turn around. You are not better than me, he said. There was an edge to his voice, dark and dangerous. You will never be better than me. I rescued you from the gutter, and that is where I expect you to return now that you don't have my coattails to ride upon, or a foolish old woman like Birdie to protect you. Lucian glared. Must be strange being in a graveyard. Considering you don't ever intend to die. I've always been too afraid to ask why you never got any older, but I think I might be piecing together the answer. You steal time from other people, don't you? You make their lives shorter so that you can extend your own. How can you live with yourself? A long silence. At last, his back still turned, Sharp said, Goodbye, Mr. Silva. Good luck. Lucian watched his former employer wind down the path towards the comfort of his carriage. When the slick black horses had pulled Sharp through the iron gates, it occurred to Lucian that a very long and interesting chapter of his life had come to an end. He turned his attention once more to the fresh grave at his feet. Reaching into his coat, he produced a single, long-stemmed rose. With the wave of a hand, the stem of the rose became black as coal, and the petals were coated in a shining gold. Lucian placed the black gold rose on the headstone. Goodbye, Birdie. Rain washed the tears from his face as he trudged down the hill towards the gates and the world beyond. and the world was a big, big place. Lucian did not know where to go or what to do next. His fingers touched the book in his coat pocket, its pages full of dreams, imaginings and possibilities, and somehow he did not feel quite so lost. Without knowing why, he began to smile. Then, with a final glance to the top of the hill, Lucy and Silva walked through the cemetery gates and away. Oh, short chapter that one, wasn't it? But I think it told us a lot, didn't it? So, back then, I think that was the end of Lucy and Silva and Vindictus Sharp's relationship. Birdie has sadly died. Remember Birdie? We haven't seen her for a long time, have we? And they've gone their separate ways. But did you notice what Lucian said to Vindictus about Vindictus planning on never dying, basically, and saying that he's been kind of stealing life from people? I wonder what that's all about. I don't think this will be the last we've heard of the two of them. Chapter 19 is called Missing, and we're back in present day. Are you looking forward to it? If you are, make sure you join me next time. See you later. Bye bye.